All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Edge. I am your host, Eric.
And I'm Stan.
And tonight is just going to be us two. Hat is out of town for work-related reasons. So we are going to do our best to do as much as we can tonight. We have a couple topics tonight for you. We're going to be talking about Fire Emblem for a little bit, the new one that just came out. I know I've been playing it. Have you gotten the game, Stan?
I was thinking about it, but it was actually sold out everywhere near me.
Yeah,
So
that actually kind of happened to me too. I did find it at Best Buy though. But
yeah,
we also have the Oninaki demo that came out, and we have tried that, and we definitely have our thoughts on it. We also got some more detailed trailers of the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions game
hmm
that's for mobile, and we wanted to talk about that also. And lastly, we have August is coming up, and we decided that we wanted to dive in and see what's good in August. So, without further ado, Stan, is there anything you've been playing this week?
uh, I haven't had much time for games this week, unfortunately. Been really busy, but I have been playing a new fighting game actually that just came out last Thursday, and it's called Fantasy Strike, and it's on Switch, PS4, and PC. And the idea behind it is to be a more accessible fighting game. So it's only 10 characters, right? So that may seem like a very small roster, but the characters are all embodied like the fighting game archetypes. So you've got like your zoning characters and your grappler characters, rushdown characters, and so on. And all the special moves have been mapped to a single button press or like a button press in a direction. So it's similar to like Smash Brothers for kind of a similar control scheme to that. So the idea behind it is a lot of people can't get into fighting games, or they think they're not good enough to get into fighting games because the execution barrier is too hard. You've got full 360 motions and double quarter circle motions and stuff. Everything in this game, Fantasy Strike, has been boiled down to one button. Every attack can be done with one button or one button plus a direction. And it makes it really interesting because you get right past the execution barrier, and so you're jumping right into the mental aspect of fighting games. Essentially, you're thinking about spacing and like, should I grab or should I attack? What do I do if I knock them down? And what do I do if I'm stuck in the corner? You're just jumping, like skipping ahead a step, and you don't have to spend hours in training mode like figuring out your character. Every character's moveset fits on a single page. Like, that's how simplified it is.
Well, that's
But just
good.
be
That's
yeah.
what I like about fighting games is the good ones are the ones that are like so simple that you can like on a like an easier mode you can just plow through it easily. But then when you actually get into the competition or when you get harder, it kind of brings you more into, okay, maybe I should actually start figuring out what type of fighting moves I have.
hmm
Um, I can't really think on top of my head, but there have been some games in the past where they like just expect you to know everything like right off the bat, and it just becomes so unappealing, and people stop playing it. So I'm glad they kind of have those uh, simple and work your way to math type mechanics.
Yeah, it's very much a like low execution, or low barrier to entry to get into it, but it
I can't
still
really
has depth
think on top of my
because the characters are still embodying like the classic fighting game archetypes, and that gives you that depth that, like I said, the mental aspect of the game is still there completely. So I've been playing that the last few days, and it's been a lot of fun. I've even gotten some friends into it who don't normally want to play any fighting games with me because it's not really their genre. Um, it's actually my second favorite genre of game after RPGs. So um, I if that sounds interesting to anybody listening, it's $30 on PC, PS4, and Switch. And if you get the PC version, you can cross-play online with everything. But thanks to Sony, the PS4 and the Switch do not cross-play with each other. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, I would say the PC version is probably the best, and then the Switch version after that.
Yeah, I would probably usually recommend the PS4, usually because they're the most popular. Like, I was thinking of getting like Dragon Ball Fighters, which I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking to myself, I have it on the PS4, and the online is usually pretty terrible on the. I was just
Right.
ranting about it earlier today. Like playing Smash Bros. Online, I can't. I feel like I can't get anything done, and I have 1 gig up and down internet
Mm.
speed, and it's still not ideal for anything. So yeah, PC or PS4 is good for that. And sorry folks, I forgot to mention that I'm the one setting all this up tonight. So anything looks out of the ordinary or not as high quality, um, that's because of me and my inexperience with this stuff. I couldn't even get Stan on the Google Hangout to pop up on the video, so we have his usual Discord icon right there and plays with the ultras. So that's why you don't
Yeah.
see Stan, but you get to see my ugly mug. But anyways, uh, the first topic we have tonight is Fire Emblem Three Houses. And I did get to play a few hours of it. Unfortunately, I haven't probably dived into as much as everyone else. But it's good. Good.
Yeah.
Um it's definitely a Persona meets Fire Emblem type game with its social aspects. It's I don't even know the best way to put it. It's like I usually don't really care for those type of games, the Persona ones, but there are some exceptions, like the Persona series itself. Because usually I'm not into games that go too heavily on the dialogue, but to Fire Emblem's credit, it's not that dialogue heavy when I played it, so that's good at least. And the Fire Emblem gameplay itself is still as engaging as ever as the
That's good.
previous games. It's just there's some of the social activity uh, you need to engage in to make your parties better for the upcoming battle, and that's the part where it can feel a lot like it's a tedium for people who just want to play the Fire Emblem part of the game. But if you're someone who's into those social aspects, you like to get to really know the characters, like outside of combat and main story cutscenes, it's the perfect place to do it. And there's a lot to like in that aspect. I think personally there's a little bit of a tedium to having to go through every day than like at the in the month you actually do a battle. But the cool thing is they do have a feature where you can just do like auto instruct it's called, and it'll like pick what's the best for the characters and everything, so you can further get to the meat of the game a lot faster. So in a way, it's kind of like expanding upon Fates, where before battle you kind of had a little social aspect that you can work with other people before battle. It's more like they expanded upon that, and I think I'm pretty okay with it. It's not 100% my cup of tea, but for what they did with it, it's still pretty good. Um, in terms of the dialogue and the characters, hmm, they're fine. There are some that are a little cringier than others, and ones I'm like, how can this kind of person be here? But it's your typical kind of anime type characters. It's
Yeah.
uh you either love it or hate it, but there are some characters that I do like, and there's some that are just like you might get the permadeath option. But it's I mean, like I said before in the last podcast, that's an option. I don't think I will do it just because I still have a strong stance on trying to keep everyone alive. But at least they have
Hmm.
that little you can it's a limited amount you can use, but you can turn back time. So if any of your characters die, then you can turn back time just a few times and try to win it that time. But
Mm.
it's a good game. Um, it's not shaping up to be my favorite Fire Emblem so far. It could lead into that. There are some interesting aspects to the main story, but I do feel like they kind of rushed you into being a professor of this totally not Hogwarts school of people. It really is like Hogwarts in so many ways. Obviously, there's some little differences, but like the idea of the monastery and everything, it's so Harry Potter. So if
Hmm.
you like that type of setting, you know, that's another positive aspect. But if you're someone who doesn't like the social aspect of things like Persona, I don't think this game's combat is good enough to make you look past that. So I'm kind of being tolerant and open minded about it, but I think this might be a game that may take me a little while to beat. Just I feel like I have to take it in small doses.
Mm.
But that's mostly what I think about it. Unfortunately, I haven't put too many hours into it, so I don't know if I can mention other little things like they took away the axe, spear, sword, uh, triangle type deal, or more like the
Yeah,
red, green,
the
blue.
like rock paper scissors
And I'm
element.
still trying to grasp exactly what has an advantage over another. There's you got your swords, your axes, the spears, the magic, the healing, the flying characters, one mounted on horses. But I don't really see exactly what has an advantage over another, so I need to look up that a little more. Oh, to answer your question, Bio, I joined uh, the color red people, the red
That
team. I joined the red
the
team, but apparently
Black Eagles, or was that what it was
it was
called?
like Black Horse or something like that.
Mm.
But I picked that because I was like, it's the Empire. It's kind of looks they have some dark themes. Maybe it'll be a darker story. Someone told me that I'm wrong. It's the blue one that has the darker story.
Hmm.
So if I ever do a second playthrough, I'll be like, oh yeah. But the interesting thing is, even if you do pick red, like I did, you can still by using the social aspects of the game recruit people from the other houses into your team.
Yeah, I heard that. So you could theoretically get everyone in a single playthrough, right?
I don't know about that.
Hmm.
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe. I haven't looked into it that far, but that would be pretty neat if you did. Just have the whole entire monastery just join the red team. Uh, I don't know. I have a feeling that I'm going to guess they limit that. Yeah, I think you may be able to grab like two or three out of there because I
Mm.
think it's just like I have to think it just breaks the story at that point if you just start taking all of them. But there are a few characters in those teams. I'm like, you know what? I think I kind of want to grab them in. Like she looks like a good and such. But for anything else to the game, I think that's about the game in a nutshell. Do all the social stuff for the month on the calendar, and then at the end of the month you do a major battle and progresses the story. Apparently, they say it takes about 80 hours to get through a first playthrough. So I'm like, oh,
Wow.
like these
That's
characters better start getting really engaged
well,
throughout the story because right now they're not. I'll say not as bad as Type Zero.
that's
Not as bad as those characters.
that's good.
They introduce the characters a lot better in this. So you kind of like they bring them out at once. Like these are your classmates, but they're
Mm.
not like throwing them all at you, expecting you to get them all to know all of them right away. You can go to each one individually, and just focus on building a relationship, uh, through slower means at your own pace. So they do that a lot better than Type Zero. So I won't criticize them harshly for that. But it is your typical kind of anime characters, so you kind of just need a stomach for that.
Hmm.
Uh, um, but besides
Now,
the harsh criticisms, I mean, the game is still solid. The presentation's great. The UI is simple. The concepts fundamentally of the game are pretty simple. It feels a little overwhelming at first, but then you find like the second or third month, it just kind of clicks. You know what you should do and not do. So it's not a difficult game by any means in that regard, um, but between classic and casual, honestly, I'm not that hardcore of a Fire Emblem fan to tell people that they shouldn't do casual mode. But this type of game that's 80 hours, I wouldn't blame someone for doing casual at all.
just in case you make one mistake, like 50 hours in.
Yeah, the game is
Yeah,
so long that it would be really stressful going through the classic mode because a lot of Fire Emblem games are about 15 to 20 hours long. So if each house route is 80 hours, then that's just mind-numbingly stressful having to keep people alive. So I think another good way to play would probably be put it on casual, but put it on hard. Like
mm,
hard's not like over the top difficult or anything. It's just you just may need to think a little harder to win the fight. Because if you put it on normal mode, it's pretty. You can just go right through it, no problem. At least what I
mm,
hear from other people. So if you do casual mode, I do recommend putting it on hard. But if you do stick to classic, keep it on normal. Unless
mm.
you're kind of a masochist and want to just put on the hardest mode. I'm sure it's
How
very
are
fun,
the
but man, there's a little bit of an RNG element to it, so it can
yeah,
potentially come out of nowhere and just
yeah,
like end
reinforcements
everything.
to yeah.
So that's my thoughts on Fire Emblem. Hat will be back here next week. He got the game also, so he'll give his thoughts, and I'll have a couple more hours into it. So I don't have a definite answer if it's like worth buying at full price or just wait till later to get it.
How are the like the battle animations and transitions?
Great.
Because it kind of goes down into that like lower field of view. So you have like the traditional top-down view, but when you select to attack somebody, you get that kind of Fire Emblem Warriors like viewpoint almost
It's
from
pretty
behind the
quick. It's
character.
pretty snappy. You choose, done in a few seconds.
Okay, that's good because I remember playing the Path of Radiance on the GameCube, and it also had like a 3D kind of battle animations, but it had to move to a separate screen, right? So it had to like fade to black and then fade back in, and there was like a little different music playing, and then Ike would run across and slash the enemy. The enemy would have to hit you back, and it got too slow after a while. Like you were just trying to complete the mission, and so I often opted to like turn that battle animation off to just kind of speed things along.
They do
But
have a fast forward button on top of it to
oh,
actually
they
go
do.
faster than
So if
what
you've
I said.
seen, yeah, like if you've seen the same animation 100 times and you know that this attack is going to lethal the guy anyway, right? Like you can kind of zip through it.
Yeah, I think pretty much.
That's
I
good.
haven't touched it myself, but I imagine. Boom, boom, done.
That's good because the only way to do it in prior games I know was to like completely turn those special animations off, and then you just kind of had the characters slashing and shooting each other from the traditional top down view, and it wasn't as wasn't as exciting, But like I said, it's because the transition to that other screen was like after a while just took too long to complete battles that way.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think.
really like the new battle animations; they look really cool.
Oh yeah, I mean the battles are a lot better. I really like that they add soldiers like around the character, so it actually feels like actual battle is going on instead of just like simply just five high school teenagers going up a whole group of.
Yeah, that's good.
So they make they're fighting in the battles, but they kind of make it look like that they're commanding that troop.
Hmm.
So they come off more like of a commander type deal. But obviously they're pulling their weapons out and they're fighting too.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Yeah, that's the perfect way to do it.
yeah, I'm sure just before they just never had the technology to do any of that. But I think well they're actually back to it. They've been on a handheld past years.
Yeah. I think the last one was on the Wii, right?
Yeah,
Which was kind of the sequel to Path of Radiance.
like Radiant Dawn it was.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time ago in
But
video game years.
in short, so so far so good. I have my grievances, but it's more personal. What they go for, it's executed very well.
That's
But
good.
anyways, on to the next topic. We have the demo of Oninaki that came out on the Switch and PS4 last week, which was very nice of RPG Tokyo Factory because now I know not to get it. But I would like to hear your thoughts first before I rant a little.
Well, so the demo was pretty short. I think it was like about 2.5 hours, maybe less. And the the story concept, I think, is interesting. It was just delivered like very slow, I guess I would say. Seems like kind of a slow burn type of story. So the idea is the main character is a watcher, I believe it was called, and these watchers are people who can kind of cross over into kind of like a purgatory realm, like an area where lost souls go before they die, and their job is to kind of patrol that realm and make sure that um, people who are stuck there who have died are like able to move on. And there can be all kinds of emotional things from either the ghost now themselves or like their relatives or their loved ones in the still living world that can be tying that person down and not allowing them to pass on. So it's kind of like a similar but not exactly the same to like Unsent in Final Fantasy X, where they have some sort of um, lingering issue that's preventing them from being like fully departed or whatever.
I like to derive
And
from FF10 a lot, don't they?
yeah, I am Setsuno, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a very similar concept, but it's more like in this one, the people who are unsent are still they can't be seen anymore by the realm of the living, right? And so the story I thought was it could be good. They don't really give you a big enough slice, in my opinion, to really tell. It's very somber and gloomy, right? So if you're looking for like a upbeat JRPG, this ain't it. It doesn't have that going for it. Um,
That's the thing with all three of these games. They're so somber and like
yeah.
mellow, and it makes me fall asleep all the time. Like I had believe it or not, I actually went through 3 playthroughs where I finally beat the demo, and it
Hmm.
was just because I kept falling asleep. Like I would like start dozing off, and then like I'm like, ugh, like
Yeah.
like the combat is so slow. The story
Mm.
concept is interesting, and the writing isn't necessarily bad. It's just like it's boring. It doesn't have a
Hmm.
strong startup. Like
Yeah.
even like really somber games like that can still have a strong startup to get you hooked. It doesn't have that hook for me. So
It part of it I think is it's such a foreign type of concept. So while it is interesting, it's such a it's so detached from like our culture and our real world, and none of the characters are particularly like endearing or relatable. So there's nothing to like really hook you in, like you said. Like I'm not even rooting necessarily for my main character because story portrays him as kind of a jerk, you know, and so there isn't really anything to draw you in like on a relatable aspect. Like I don't relate to these characters, but I'm like intrigued. And I think for like you're saying, for a lot of people, that's not enough. Like you need both, right? You
Yeah,
need to also feel invested in the story in some way.
I just don't know how to put it. I mean, just like everything just seems boring to me. Like
Yeah.
that was a problem with the previous two games. I am Setsuna to a lesser extent, but Lost Sphere not only had like bad writing, like boring music, boring terrain, boring combat. It's kind of bleeding over here too. Now, granted, I like the combat of Oninaki more than any other game they've made for it,
Hmm.
but it is slow. And I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe they just have a more of a element to this type of game, and
No.
maybe that's the case in later fights. But like the boss battles were just so easy. They were
Yeah.
so everything about the game was so ridiculous. Like I feel like I could just shut my eyes and like hit a button and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
Like even with the boss, it's like, oh, just want me to jump. Okay, I jump. I'm dodging everything that you are capable of doing. Now, if the boss fights in the later in the game just have you constantly switching between like different styles to make sure that you're dodging and attacking efficiently, I think that would be a cool concept. But I mean, to be fair, it's a demo of the very start of the game,
Hmm.
so I can't judge it too harshly. But just everything I just went through was just not impressive. Like I can't think of a single thing that I can just give a really positive feedback to, because even like the presentation of the game is like okay.
It's so.
I've seen
Yeah.
indies do better.
Yeah. It's not at the quality that you would want for the price, right? For
50 bucks.
$50.
I mean, this is
20
the
to
type of
20 to
game.
30 like would be more understandable. But the problem is it's like it's not, the art style is not like cell shaded or anime enough to like kind of like, you know, like a Dragon Ball Fighters or something where it's like it really pops out, right? And it's really stylized.
Yeah,
It's more of like, well, it's lower, I don't know how to describe it, like lower polygon or lower resolution, maybe not resolution, but it's just
maybe they're
it's going for um, still like an anime look, but it's kind of got more of like that chibi style, I guess you would say.
it's a colorful game, but I don't feel any colors really stand out.
Yeah, nothing pops out
Your character
really.
kind of blends in with everything,
Hmm.
so it's. I'm not saying it's not bad to the point that I can't, but like he doesn't stand out in the environment. Contrast,
Yeah.
kind of not there.
Hmm.
So, but in terms of it being $50, I don't think this is going to be a $50 game. It's. I mean, it's
I don't
going to be one, but it's like I'm not going to pay $50.
know.
I'm already deciding that now. That's a game that if it drops down to $20, I may reconsider. If like if user feedback is pretty good, like even if the game is good, I don't feel like it's something worth paying 50 for, especially when indie developers charge like $15 to $20 for their games, and they make it and like they're better looking and they play it a lot better too.
Hmm.
I don't know what I don't know why Square Enix believes that these games are worth that much. Their company was built to be kind of like an indie developer. So it's really weird that they charge their price as
Yeah.
much as like their AA, AAA titles.
Right. Yeah, that's very puzzling to me too. Um, you mentioned the bosses as being very easy, but also the just the regular enemies you encounter as you explore are mind-numbingly easy. Like those. it feels like those unless there's 20 of them on the screen all at once, like they don't have a chance to hit you because of how good your like evasion and movement is. Like you can walk, so like there's a dash function in the game, but like half the time you don't even need to use it. You can just like walk behind the enemies and like start attacking them in the back. And by the time they turn around, I mean, if you've just been mashing square, they're dead. Like it doesn't matter. And
Yeah, that's just how my experience was.
yeah, it's really bad design for like regular enemies, in my opinion.
But I'll put
Like,
it this way too: there are other games where just kind of mashing the button to take down a group of enemies, like say like a Muso game, like Hyrule
mhm.
Warriors and Dragon Quest
Yeah,
Heroes, those type of games. Like you're killing just like a bunch of enemies that have like no chance against. But what's what feels good about the combat? Well, I just said it. Is that it feels good to hit those enemies. Like you
yeah,
do these crazy cool moves that are just like over the top, and you're just taking out so many of them at once. And like even just like a simple sword swipe, just like feels really good to take down like a thing of them. But in this
hmm
game, it lacks that. Like they're
yeah,
kind
because
of being
there's
serious with it. They're not trying to bring like a little bit of an over the top like fun arcadey aspect to it. It's just like boring, wipe them away, and
yeah, so it's really like not satisfying either aspect, right? Because like you said, like a Dynasty Warriors type of game or Onimusha or something, you've got I don't know how many enemies on the screen, you know, dozens and dozens at a time, and you're just going through and mowing them all down. And that feels good in like a high score type of sense, right?
mm-hmm.
Or you've got like on the opposite end, maybe like a more actiony arcade, well, like a Devil May Cry type of game where you're racking up combos on like a few enemies on the screen, you know.
Yeah.
But this feels like in the middle ground where it's like there's a few enemies on the screen, like maybe 5 to 8 in most cases, and they all die almost as easily though as the like the Dynasty Warriors type of enemies. So it's like it's not really satisfying. You just like kind of go up to the few enemies, you wipe them all out, and that's it.
It goes
Like
goes back to my opinion of the two games is that they're I feel like they're just trying to replicate concepts that have worked in games, but they
mhm.
don't understand why they work so well. And
Yep.
it's like, I mean, you emulated it correctly, but it's still not satisfying feeling.
Hmm.
And I kind of already feel it with this game. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna judge it too harshly till the game comes out and I actually play through a good amount of it. Which, like I said again, if the reviews are good and it's under $20, I'll get it. But
Yeah.
um, uh, this is not a, this is definitely not a day one. Um, if we're going to talk about Oninaka, either you or Hat are going to have to do the talking if you get it day
Yeah.
one.
The combat is just to repeat myself real quick. Like it's just really unsatisfying because there's like no give and take between you and the enemies. Like like in Zelda, right? If you remember fighting the in Ocarina of Time, like the Stalfos enemies or other enemies that you have to Z target and kind of strafe around, or
Mm-hmm.
even in Link to the Past, if you remember fighting like the knights, like the green and blue and red colored knights, and they have like a sword or a spear, and they kind of charge at you. You can't just like, I mean, they can be defeated pretty easily too, but if you just run up to them, you're going to get hit by that sword, right? So you have to like take their position into account as you try and fight them. You have to like strafe around them and then like slash them from the side or behind. There's like none of that in Oninaki's combat. You the enemies just like telegraph one attack and then you can walk. You can like just walk around the attack and then move right back in front of them and just mash your attack and then maybe use one of the skills from your your ghost characters, your daemons or demons, however they call them, and
Xenoblade Chronicle 2 thing.
yeah, and you'll just wipe out anything that comes in your path. And I was playing on the hardest difficulty, and I even did the battle mode. They had a battle mode that I think you unlock after you beat it, and it puts you in a map where you're like higher level. You're level 20, and you have 4 different demon characters to choose from and like switch between. And it's kind of the same thing. Like the only way they can make the regular enemies challenging is if there's more than 10 on the screen at once, because then it gets a little hectic and you're like trying to avoid them all while also killing some. But
Yeah, it would definitely be cool if this game was like maybe kind of like a bullet hell type game, where
yeah,
like just more enemies just come out and you just gotta be strategic in your evasion, getting around them and killing them all. Like killing like a small group, very easy, but the more they overwhelm you is where the difficulty is.
right.
And this game hasn't done anything to show that. I don't know if that's the type of game they're going for, but
Yeah.
like I said, there's just been nothing to show that. It would be really cool though, because I do think the demon system is pretty neat. I like the idea of just switching between different styles on the fly.
Hmm.
But so far from what I've seen, it's like you don't have much reason to switch to
No.
others. You just pick one that you can just go with it.
Yeah, that's what I found in the battle mode as well. Like there was one that actually allowed you to block. Like so when you push X, there's like a barrier in front of you, and then the ones you have in the demo, in the story demo, like one allows you to jump, one allows you to dash, and then the fourth one allowed you to teleport a short distance, which was kind of cool. You can like teleport and get behind the enemy, but you could just as easily jump and get behind the enemy, or dash and be behind them as well. So, and they all have like a special move that's essentially a projectile, a special move that um, just goes like in a straight line, hits enemies directly in front of you, and a special move that is kind of like a large area effect in front of you.
Hmm.
So they didn't, other than their kind of evasion maneuver, their strong attacks were not well differentiated. Like I got to the boss of that battle mode who was challenging. He actually killed me a couple times because he spawns like ads, I guess you call them, or like more small enemies that you have to worry about. So you're trying to fight the boss while also kill those things and avoid their attacks as well. But I didn't feel like that boss was dictating you to like switch to the most optimal demon at the time, to get you to either like avoid an attack or whatever. It felt like you can just use whichever one you prefer the most, you know. So
Yeah, I mean that's about how it felt. I think maybe uninspired, kind of. I mean, it's definitely inspired, but somehow it feels inspired at the same time.
yeah,
It's
it's like now we have a better story probably, but
my personal opinion, people, is just wait. Don't
yeah.
get it day one. Um, Either wait for a sale or wait till more reviews come in and
Hmm.
judge it from there. Because the first two games, I mean, some people like I Am Sensei, but I think Lost Sphere is kind of agreed by most people, like, not good.
Yeah.
So just kind of be at the very least cautiously optimistic. I do hope the game is good. Because they didn't put anything in the demo, or hopefully they take criticism from the demo and they make some adjustments for then. Maybe that's the other intent of having it out, is to get some feedback from people, because presentation and story is one thing. That's kind of me picking, but the combat here is boring, bland,
Yeah.
doesn't feel really good. So maybe they'll do some fixes in there. There'll be some big differences from the demo. I kind of have my doubts. It'll be different, especially since the game's coming out just a few weeks. So
Hmm.
hopefully something cool happens, but I have my doubts. That's our thoughts on Oninaki. Next topic. This one probably not be very long because it's kind of a just a little brief trailers that we've gotten of it. There is a mobile game that's on the App Store right now for both Apple and Android, and it's called Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. And it's a free to play Final Fantasy game, you know, kind of one of those typical. Um, you get characters from previous games to join you, and you go through, which, to its credit, a original story, Final Fantasy story, with original characters in it who summon Final Fantasy characters. And I did enjoy what I played of it. I didn't finish it, but I kind of want to just because to say I completed the story for the next game coming out. But they have a new game that's not like a continuation of the story of the first Brave Exvius, but it's called War Divisions. And from what I heard, it's set in the same world. Um, Same world as Brave Exvius, but I think it might actually be different enough to be like in a different time period. So you don't really need to play the first game for this one. Uh, if you think that it's that kind of sequel, I don't think it is. But for this game, it's not the same combat system. This one is actually a lot closer to Final Fantasy Tactics in its presentation and its gameplay style. And I think everything looks pretty great on it so far. Like the artwork is great, the combat looks engaging. Some of the writing I've seen looks pretty good on top of that also. It doesn't seem generic or anything. It looks like they're putting a lot of effort in this. So it leads me to question how are they going to screw it up with the free to play function?
Yeah. Is it too good to be true?
That's exactly what I think. It
Yeah.
might be too good to be true because everything looks great. Like it doesn't look like a Matsuno type Final Fantasy Tactics, but it looks like a engaging tactical game.
Yeah. They've got like a lot of the tactics elements, like full on job system in the game, and um, like you said, the maps are like grid based, and you move the characters around, and there's also like a turn order on the left side of the screen showing you like which characters will act next, and the maps have like the height differences between them, so you've got you can get like higher ground and attack from above and things like that, side attacks and back attacks. Very Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
everything. I don't know. Again, like the presentation looks solid. The UI looks really good. The combat AI is like 3D built models, but they still look good.
Hmm.
Like that's kind of a thing I was going to kind of get up on it on, but I think for what they do with the 3D models, I think they look good enough. I kind of wish they were just 2D,
Hmm.
to kind of similar to Brave XPS, the current one on mobile devices right now, because the sprite work on that game is actually pretty damn good. Whoever does like the sprite work for that, like I'll give them a medal for that. I think they should have done it for this game, but it still looks good regardless. Like you said, I really like that, like the job systems returning. Again, my biggest fear is that if if it's even free to play, I really hope they just charge you like 15, $20 and be like, here you go, here's a game. But
Yeah.
the free to play marketplace is too much of a just you just they just make way too much money to. So I hope it's like something fair enough. Like they just put like a stamina bar where you can play a certain amount of like rounds and then like kind of have to wait.
A
Uh,
time gate type of thing. Yeah.
yeah, I think they might do that. But the thing is, they're always so generous with it. It's at the beginning,
Hmm.
so a lot of times, even in the first Brave XPS, they give you a lot of means to restore your stamina to just keep playing. I believe
Mhm.
is where they get you, and they get mostly the whale. Is the is the end game content they offer after you beat the main story. The people who like to stick with the game and want to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
I think that's where they get most of their money from, and that's when you really start losing your stamina and having to keep it. So I think that's the part where they get you. But usually I bow out of these games like right when I beat them. Like I love Terra Story. No, I'm sorry, Terra Battle. So, the first game it was really good, but as soon as I beat the main campaign, I was like, I'm done. I didn't really pursue it much afterwards. But
Yeah.
I hope this guy just has like a full engaging story. I have a feeling that they're going to do, they're going to release chapters and parts again. The first Brave Exvius did that. Like it's, I believe the game is completed. I think you can beat the whole Brave Exvius story now. But for a while, they released periods of like a few months after each other. So if you get to a certain, I have a feeling if you get to a certain point in War of the Visions, it's going to be like to be continued. Do this end game stuff till we
Thank-
got more content to come in. Which I'm not a
Right.
big fan of that, but it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's tough to say. You got to be skeptical of any mobile game that they're giving you for free. Um, yeah, because like you said, they get you hooked in the beginning with being very generous with some kind of in-game currency or whatever you need to proceed or keep playing, and they get you used to that type of progression or um, amount of time that you can play. But then they very slowly trickle it down and keep throwing like that, buy extra lives or extra money or whatever to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
or pay 199 to skip this 3 hour wait. You know,
Yeah,
and
I
they've
hope.
gotten you accustomed to the regular flow, and then all of a sudden well, usually not all of a sudden. It's usually very gradual, so you don't even notice it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I'm only able to play this game 20 minutes every day when I used to be able to play 2 hours without paying, right?
I hope it doesn't do it like mid battle. Like you're like you get behind, you move your character, and like the two attack. It's like this will cost 2 stamina. Oh, are you out of stamina? You can either wait 5 hours to get some stamina back, or you can pay $5 right now and keep continuing. Oh no.
Oh, could you imagine like, hey, this enemy's attack will lethal you. Want to pay 99 cents to survive with 1 HP or something like that?
Yeah. Um, all the bravest in Final Fantasy. Like you just slap the tablet in your face and just keep rubbing your face on it to win. Because that's all you had to do. You had to just swipe your finger up and down for the characters to go until the bar went down and you died. Like you can't do
Yeah,
anything about it. You just swipe your finger till it happens. They say, and then it says after the game over, in mid battle is you can either wait a few hours for the item you need to revive yourself comes back, or you can pay money right now and continue to smash your face on the tablet and smear your nose and face up all of it.
that one is especially egregious.
That one's horrible. And they made you pay $4 for on top of that
Yikes.
transaction. But I don't know. War Divisions is looking pretty good so far. We don't have a release date yet, but if they're showing off this much stuff, I have a feeling it's going to come out. Maybe I think maybe sometime September or October it may come out. It could possibly come
Yeah,
out in August also, but I think that's the time frame it's probably coming out.
yeah, it definitely looks really far along in development. So
hmm So looking forward to that. Hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully the free to play aspects aren't that bad. But on to next topic. We do this every month where we kind of want to go over what is coming out in the upcoming month for anyone who is for a new RPG to play. I'm kind of looking at the list right now, RPG wise, and For August, it's looking a little barren. Um,
Yep.
I can go through the list of what's coming here. August 1st is early access for Jupiter Hell on PC. Early access for Legends of Amberland is coming August 1st on PC. Early access for Legends of Aria on PC, August 6th. They are releasing the Switch version of Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition on August 8th. So if you're a Western RPG fan, Pillars of Eternity is one that is highly praised from people. So I would look into that if you're looking for a game to put on your Switch and you like those type of games. Maybe waiting till Witcher comes out on the Switch, so maybe that can hold you over till then. Also on the list there is Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet Complete Edition on August 9th. I've never watched the anime or played any. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Bell Seal Arbiter's Mark for Switch on August 14th. Then we got Oninaki that we just talked about. That's coming for PS4. That's coming August 22nd. And after that is Black Desert coming August 22nd also. That's an MMORPG that's been on PC forever. And it is a game that a lot of people like. It's one of the more popular ones. It's not on the top MMO list, like you're like picking the top three. But it does have if I remember correctly, it's a sandbox type MMO. So if you're looking for something on that in your console and you don't have it on PC, there's a game for you. um, this one though, you can get now digitally, but there are some people who prefer the physical copy, and that is going to be the collection of mana
Yes.
for the Switch, and it's going to be a physical copy instead of digital. Now, as much as I like my physical copies, I was a little impatient with that one and not physical, digital version of it. I don't know if you got it yet.
No, I'm holding out for that physical one.
I don't physical. Well, you're more patient than me. It comes
well,
with.
how long have we waited, right? I could wait a little longer.
Not too bad. The game has the three first Seiken Densetsu games, mana games. It has Adventure of Mana for the Game Boy, which was also known as Final Fantasy Adventure in America. So you get that game. You get Secret of Mana, the original Super Nintendo version, not the remake version. That is available on there also. And then what we got as a third game is actually a game we've never had localized till now, which is Seiken Densetsu 3, and what it's called here in America is Trials of Mana. And I can tell you, I played through that game. I haven't finished it. I had something else that popped up for me to play, but what I did play through, it's a pretty good game. I would actually rank it better than Secret or Adventure of Mana. Like, I would go as far as to say, like, the combat feels really good in that game. I felt iffy about it first, but as I kept leveling and progressing, like, there was like more means to engage in combat. And it started getting a lot better, and it felt a lot better too. So
Yeah.
I do highly recommend that. The collection, just for that alone, the collection also comes with like save and load state features. So like any grievances you had like with pacing of the game or having to go back to a save point or you feel uneasy about beating a boss, save and load state is there. There's a couple features, screen features you can do. I don't believe there's a full screen feature, but there is a you can do like different color palettes for Final Fantasy Adventure. You can do like just black and white, like the orange, like the kind of like orange and white deal they did if you put it like in a Super Game Boy. Then you just get the green and black, like the classic Game Boy. That's the way you prefer it. And they have like everything is in 4x3, but they do give you like different aspects, like the original aspect ratio, and then they'll give you like a 4:3 HD aspect ratio, and they all look good. So there is a lot of customization to it, uh, and I do highly recommend the game. I think what they ask for, there's a lot going on in this package. It's a lot of hours of gameplay for especially for people who've never played them before. And I think it would personally be good to try the way Trials of Mana was originally before the remake comes out early next year.
Mm.
So it'd be good to compare and see which one's better, which one's worse. They improved on stuff from the original.
Yeah, the remake version, from what I understand, doesn't have any multiplayer though. So if you want to play Trials of Mana and want to play with a friend, you got to go with this collection version, the original game that we hadn't had localized before.
I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't ask anyone to play with me, so I never went to the feature.
Oh,
I may have to look at that. That's odd. One of the appealing aspects. I mean, Final Fantasy Adventure again. That's a solo game,
yeah,
but
that one is.
Secret
Yeah.
and Trial has multiplayer. If I know Secret does, but that'd be real weird if they don't do that. I mean, you could easily pull the two Joy Cons out, play that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because it's in like full 3D, and so the camera is kind of always focused on your character moving around.
Oh, you mean the
So
remake?
yeah, the remake does
Oh, I
not
thought you
have.
meant the original games. I'm like, why would they take that out?
Oh no. Yeah, so if you want to play multiplayer, you got to get the collection of mana, which is out digitally or physically at the end of August.
Okay,
But the remake version coming out is single player only.
that makes more sense.
Yeah,
Um, so I highly recommend that if you're one who wants to wait for the physical coming out August 27th. Only a couple more here. We got Pagan Online for PC and uh, early access for August 27th. Heard of that? Crystar PS4 PC on August 27th. We have a new Bard's Tale coming out. Bard's Tale 4. Barrow's Deep Director's Cut for PS4 and Xbox One on August 27th. But I believe this is based on the DOS games, where it's like a text adventure type game. It's not
mm,
the it's not the very funny PS2 Xbox game that came out. That's based on it.
mm.
Um, I think there's still gonna be some humorful stuff in it, but it's for the people who enjoyed the DOS game. They're bringing that type of style back.
That's cool. Classic.
Last one is called Forged of Blood. Heard of that either? That is apparently all the RPGs coming out for August. I don't know if there's anything else big coming out in August. August. I mean, if you're a Madden fan, I'm sorry.
That's a pretty big one to a lot of people. Maybe not so much our audience, but
Control August 27th. World of Warcraft Classic is coming out.
mm,
If you want to really live the old days of World of Warcraft, there's that. There's going to be Astral Chain on August 30th. That is from Platinum Games. People have made Bayonetta, Vanquish, the first Devil May Cry game. Uh, from the demo, not the demo, the trailers I've seen, it looks action packed. I mean,
mm.
it's like over the top craziness. You're like a Beast Force in the future fighting these demon like things. That's a big one. But besides that, it doesn't look like anything else major is coming in August. So it looks like a lot of people's wallets are going to be not hit too hard this month.
Spared. Yeah.
I think they're going to hit the hardest coming in a few months from. September is going to start with. I know games like Zelda and Dragon Quest, Witcher, uh, for the Switch, and then
That was rumored release date. I think I wasn't sure if that one was official yet.
oh really? I heard someone say September, and I found one that
Oh,
maybe they read a rumor, so I'm not sure. But but yeah, it looks like a pretty light time for August. If you got a backlog of games, just uh, good time to get them done before the new stuff starts coming in.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. So that and that looks like that's the end of the podcast today. We got about an hour in. That's pretty good. Um, but I'm not really sure on indies. I usually have Hat in them. I just sit there and be quiet for a little. But yeah, but Hat will be back next week. Like I said, he was out on a business trip and he wasn't able to make it here tonight. But he'll be back next week, and I'm sure he will want to give his thoughts on Fire Emblem. Also, he has been playing it also, and he did also play the Oninaki demo. So maybe we'll go over that a little more next week, so he can get his opinion in. But besides that, it looks like we are done tonight. Any closing thoughts, Dan?
No, sounds good. One thing I want to bring up, I was talking about a fighting game earlier. Fantasy Strike is what I've been playing recently, but there's actually a big fighting game tournament called Evo that is this weekend. And so if you're into fighting games, or even if you're not into fighting games, you should check it out. The whole thing is streamed on Twitch, and it's the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. And so, like, all the big games are going to be there: Super Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, Tekken 7, and it's pretty cool. I went there back in 2016, and it was just a great event and really a lot of fun.
Oh,
So,
those events are pretty incredible. I like watching. I have particular games I like to watch,
mhm.
but I mean, places like that are where you get like the legendary moments, like the video with Street Fighter 3 with the Ken and Chun Li.
Yep,
That
that's
video.
a
Oh
that's
man,
a that's a Evo moment from back in the early 2000s. So, yeah, this is
and
the same tournament. It's still going, and it's in Las Vegas every year, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Now they do the finals for the games like in a big arena, like a almost like a UFC arena size venue, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, and even if you're like not really into fighting games at all, this event is kind of like the Super Bowl of fighting games, or like the Olympics of fighting games, right? Where generally a lot of people who don't pay attention to the competitive scene most of the year, you can easily just jump in and kind of get an idea of which players are good and how the tournament is going. And they even have a stream on the first 2 days that they call the jump off, which is literally just four um, commentators on a desk, and they're just jumping around from stream to stream to stream, and like telling you, like, going over different games, like just bouncing around, almost like a I don't know if you've ever seen the NFL Red Zone channel, where like on Sunday they just bounce around from game to game, showing you like all the touchdowns. It's essentially like that. They're going there. If anything is happening that's like really exciting in a particular game, they'll go over there and they'll be like, oh, and here's Sonic Fox playing Dragon Ball Fighters, and he's going up against another really good player. But then the next match, you'll be watching like a Smash Brothers match, and it's another great player playing. So even if you don't have a particular game that you really like, you can just kind of sit on that stream and take everything in. Basically, that's typically what I do.
yeah, I
I just want
mean,
to see everything and like kind of get a idea of which players are doing well, and then tune into the top eight, which is like the finals for each game. And when they do that, uh, the finals get to go on the main stream, and so you get to see the top eight of every game, basically. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
exciting.
these streams have like professional, like just overview to
Hmm.
say with them. So I mean, yeah, definitely check out the Twitch streams. Like I guarantee the day Evo comes open, it'll be on the top list, like for
Oh
every
yeah,
game. So whatever
it's
fighting game you're
it's.
into or want to be might be interested in getting to, it'll be there most likely.
Hmm.
Especially Smash Bros, where they might be releasing the hero character. So definitely
Yeah,
keep an eye on that. I think they intentionally held it for Evo, but which is the
yeah,
rumor right now. So I'm definitely crossing my fingers.
yeah. Usually on the Sunday, you get the Sunday finals day. You get like a bunch of announcements for all the games, like right before the top 8 comes on. And this year, Smash Brothers actually had the most entrants, and they're going to be last. Like they're the last game on Sunday, which is like traditionally has always been Street Fighter. So it's like the more prestigious spot, I guess. They're the very last game to finish their tournament.
Oh,
So that's pretty cool. Like that's never happened before, to my knowledge. Like it's always been Street Fighter to end the show, but it's Super Smash Brothers this year because Ultimate came out, and it's just huge, both casually and competitively. Like the game is doing really well. So
oh, awesome.
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna.
yeah,
Well, if I got time to watch it. Yeah, but if I'm home, I'll watch
yeah,
it. I'll catch the highlights later. But
yeah.
yeah, definitely check out the Evo. And with that, that ends the podcast tonight. And thanks for everyone for joining. Take care.
Cool. See you.